Oh god, okay. Fuck. Oh. Woo! I'm good. 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 Oh god. Oh guys, you don't understand. Oh my lord. Let's see. I'm pretty sure Matt is already here because he's always on point with being on time with the streaming. But if you guys ever watched America's Got Talent, I don't watch the show. I just occasionally watch like a clip or two from like famous, like really good people on it. I really don't like the idea of like people, being judged on their talents, even if their talents is not that great. Like it's just like, because most of the time when it's not the talent's not great, they get shit on so much. I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. I just can't watch that. But if you ever watch Lincoln Bridge in 2016 when they did Somewhere with the Rainbow, and then 7 Years, the 7 Years song, when they play it, when they sing that shit, it makes me so emotional. It makes me goddamn emotional. Shit, dude. Whoa, fuck, man. I watch it like almost like every 3 months, at least once, or like every half a year. I watch it once just to like. It just it hits so hard. It hits so goddamn hard, and yeah. Okay, welcome. I made coffee and forgot to heat the ding dang water. I'm trying not to cry. Shit. Let's just do some SCP reading before I completely lose my cool and control. Las longastas pintadas. Euclid. Foundation MTF blank blank. Methyl heads. Meth heads will regularly treat areas prone to SCP-820 with such pesticides as might be utilized by farmers native to those areas in tradition. By the way, I'm gonna make myself a little bit louder, like maxed out, and a little bit quieter here, because I have to listen to myself whenever I have to find out where I say the title of the SCPs for the YouTube video, and I always realize like I'm very quiet, and I don't like that. In addition to this, media coverage in the affected areas will be controlled to encourage citizens to remain indoors and in safe place until swarm season has ended. A focus in media coverage during the off-season will be sensationalist stories designed to increase everyday paranoia and form habits in viewers conducive to personal safety. A small group of SCP-820 specimens between blank and blank individuals, okay, so a 4 number digit and a 5 number digit, and to be housed in Bioresearch Site 176 with research aimed toward data expunged. These specimens are to be housed in a secure translucent terrarium exposed to sunlight via skylights located in Containment Ring Beta. Access to specimens will require at least level 3 authorization, as well as accompaniment by a member of the permanent SCP-820 research team. Description: SCP-820 is a periodically manifesting swarm of locusts. Swarm of locusts! No, sorry. I had to think of Noel Miller when there's a certain joke that he did in the podcast. Grasshoppers that appears in a certain areas of Redacted. And Peru, colloquially known as Las Longastas Pintadas, or the Painted Locusts. Okay, now we know what locust is in Spanish, langostas, okay. Or is pintadas the painted part? No. Is it? No, pintadas is painted, right? Need to look that up afterwards. In addition to crop and property damage as may be expected from a locust swarm, The vicinities visited by Las Hogadas Pintadas experienced heightened accidental death rates due to an as yet unexplained effect theorized to be a pseudo-hypnotic mental state caused by the constant color and motion of SCP-820. Victims of this effect, known as the R. Blank effect in honor of the late Dr. R. Blank, experience a strong sense that they are somehow protected. Quote, everything is perfectly fine, you're totally safe, and nothing bad can happen. This leads to vastly increased recklessness and a dramatic drop in self-productive behaviors. The effects last an average of blank hours post-exposure. SCP-820 was brought into the attention of the Foundation in 1970 blank when an investigatory MTF was dispatched to redacted Peru to investigate the deaths of nearly 70 people in a bridge collapse incident. Engineers' reports showed that the bridge structure had been visibly unsafe for several hours before it collapsed, leading Foundation scanners to wonder why so many people had been on the bridge at the time of collapse. MTF blank blank Paprika Tuxedo, discovered the nature of SCP-820 when data expunged. Firearm safety. During an incident in blank, a swarm of SCP-820 manifested on a battlefield during a civil war in redacted, leading to approximately blank casualties. Foundation media plans report the high casualty rates were due to the use of illegal chemical weaponry, specifically data expunged. SCP-820 has been shown in testing to increase the likelihood of accidental death by nearly blank % for the duration of exposure and the chance of personal injury by nearly blank %. D-class exposed to SCP-820 have shown willingness to place themselves in highly dangerous situations with no fear, including walking into active live fire ordnance testing zones and entering containment. This section removed by order of 058. If the SCP-820 swarm can be raised properly in containment, it might be helpful in preparing personnel for work with key to level SCP objects. Addendum: it appears as of blank blank 2000 blank that SCP-820 has extended its range as far as data expunged. Containment procedures are currently not effective in preventing SCP-820 exposure. It is the recommendation of a research team headed by Drs. Van Huysen and Klein that containment procedures for SCP-820 be reevaluated for effectiveness against at least 240 Califaran genera that are not vulnerable to current Foundation methodology. Alright. Kind of sounds like basically like they emit almost like a drug-like effect on people, eh? The fact that like people can just be around these locusts and they just feel like, oh, I'm safe, I'm good, I'm strong. Nothing ever will happen to me that is bad because I am powerful. Sounds very much like a drug. I'm not sure if there is actually a drug that does that, but it sounds like a mythical drug, like a magical drug. Of course, at the end, it is a magical creature because it's locusts that make that effect. Whew. Dixie Funland. Okay. Looks like... Doesn't really look like a funland, just looks like a garden. It was safe, now it's neutralized. The area SCP-821 is located in has been purchased by the Foundation with a standard containment warehouse constructed around it, designated Containment Outpost 821. Daily inspections of SCP-821 exterior structure are to be performed by security personnel, with any significant changes being reported to the containment supervisor. No personnel are to enter SCP-821 due to its structural instability. Description: SCP-821 is a structure located within the former town of Asheville, I guess that's Florida. Records recovered from the local government indicate it was constructed sometime between 1955 and 1957. The interior... That was a weird feeling I just had. The interior is in a permanent state of degradation, with all attempts at maintenance or restoration being unsuccessful. SCP-821's interior contains a varying number of devices intended for children, such as a carousel, a stage with a set of 4 animatronic figures, and a variety of midway games. There are also a number of kiosks which sold food and souvenirs when SCP-821 was active. During initial containment, these devices were fully functional. Maintenance was performed by humanoids within SB821, formerly known as SB821-1, who also operated devices within SB821. Instances of -1 were humanoid automatons composed of painted copper. Devices contained within SCP-821 displayed anomalous properties when they functioned, including models of animals that were attached to the carousel would move autonomously. Animatronics were shown to be able to engage pubescent subjects in conversation. Food and drink were produced within SCP-821 without a source. Midway games that would emit vocalization complemented users with high scores. The animatronic band was composed of 4 machines, each playing different instruments. Once per hour, they would play a set of popular songs from 1957 to 1960. When not playing, these animatronics could communicate with subjects observing them and were capable of conducting basic conversation. Notably, vocalization produced in this manner was shown to be unique, with logs compiled between 1959 and 1961, showing that no conversation had been repeated. However, following Incident A, all instances of -1 were apparently destroyed or otherwise removed, and SCP-821 began to exhibit rapid structural deterioration. Jesus. The device contains within SCP-821 began to function erratically, showing much more dangerous properties that had previously been observed. In addition, SCP-821 itself is no longer safe to enter due to its structural damage. Alterations to devices include portions of the carousel and animatronic band becoming aggressive, striking and biting any objects that approach them. Notably, portions of SCP-821 capable of speech were highly apologetic, offering to assist the subject that had been injured. Currently, no components of SCP-821 capable of producing speech are functional. Incident A. On the 4th 11th, 1989, personnel attempting to enter SCP-821 found that the entrance has been sealed off and a note labeled "out of business" affixed to the door. Investigation into SCP-821 interior showed that no instances of -1 could be located. In the center of the main floor, a letter was found. The text of the letter has been included in this report. As of 5th 16, 1999, SCP-821 has been designated as neutralized. Hello, my friends. This is a day we have all been dreading, and I'm sad to be the one who has to break the news. You've all known for a while that Funland has been having trouble. You all have known for a while that Funland has been having troubled times for a very long time. And although times were tough, we always managed to pull through. But we can't do it anymore. I've seen the parks and attractions that come from the huge amusement companies, and we just can't compete. The children just aren't interested in old places like this. The ski ball, Big Bertha show plaza, the carousel, they just don't care. They're bored by it. The world has moved on. I know that each of you has put a lifetime into making Funland a success, and that's the hardest thing for me. Each of you will receive a generous severance package followed by a pass to return to your home. Thank you for your service, Mr. Funland. And now we have the season's pass here. It's been a long time since we had a season like the 56th season. That was the heyday. It seemed like we couldn't sell enough stuff, and everyone wore the biggest smile. Where the tourists and business folk funneled in from the new highway, and business could not have been better. Bertha always used to talk about all the kids she got to talk to. We had Iowans, Nebraskans, and even some folks from California. I recall a couple of Canadians on the carousel. When we closed in November, the boss said that the next season would be even better. But it wasn't. When we threw our doors open the next season, the crowds did not flow in. We had a crowd, sure, but not standing room only. We put on our best faces though, and we made sure everyone was entertained. I made sure that everyone had a fair time at the games. Even though it wasn't the hubbub we had last year, it was a good season. Boss knew we were disappointed, but he tried to keep our spirits up. Next year, he said, he will be the best for sure. It wasn't. We had nothing. Hardly anyone came by. The city council started to harass us about permits and taxes. Bossman said it would be taken care of, but when the constant stream of civil servants outnumbered the families, it was a bad time. At least we still had a few families then. Even if business only came in a trickle, they still visited. We weren't in the hundreds, but the dozens. When we closed up shop, Bossman said things would be better soon. Times were tough, but we were in the Funland family and we pulled through. Things changed in the 59 season. The town seemed to have dried up overnight. The Dixie Highway looked like nobody had paved. Oh, battery. The Dixie Highway looked like nobody had paved in months. There were all these people with weapons and equipment. I thought we were being shut down. But Boston said to keep up business as usual so we could have that great season we needed. So the team kept up the happy faces. Bertha did her 2 shows and Aaron served up his gumbo, pretzel sticks. The people would come in and poke stuff, but it never brought business or the families. Sometimes they had kids in with them, sometimes with adults, but never real families. I can't even remember the last time I saw a real smiling family here. It becomes so sterile. Seasons have come and gone, but nobody cares, and nothing seems to change. We don't see Bossman anymore. He left a letter on the floor and walked out a while ago. The people took the letter. It's darker now. Oh, so hold on. So this must be when the Foundation came by and saw the letter on the ground. It's darker now. The shows don't happen anymore. If you go in the arcade, all we have is a cracked skee ball table and an empty skill crane. Everything else is broken or gone. The others have changed. Everyone seems to be less happy, more bitter. If a kid came in today, they'd snap him. It's not that any of them wants to do it. Nobody knows what is going to happen. If Bossman had given us a way home, maybe things would be different. We're here till he says otherwise. Sometimes I still remember the end of 56. I think we can be there again. The traffic is going to flow again, and the lifeblood of tourism will flood into this creaky old house. But next year, if I can feel it. Well, that's just sad. That was just sad. Landmine cacti. That was just sad, dude. Like, come on. They basically shows animatronics that were able to live and move and think to themselves, and they just wanted to bring entertainment to the kids and the masses, and then the masses stopped coming and they had to shut down, and they just had to like keep hoping, but nothing ever came. So yeah, that's just a sad one. Landmine cacti. I will say it again just to be sure. Euclid. Specimens of SB822 are contained in an isolation chamber at Biological Containment Site 103. Personnel may not approach within 5 meters of the chamber at any time. Watering and soil conditioning are to be done via automated systems, and any maintenance work must be done remotely with robotic assistance. Description. SB822 is a species of cactus similar in appearance to Lophophora williamsi. And my computer scrolled down without me doing anything. Peyote, but with significant differences as the plant reaches maturity within a period of approximately 30 days. As SB822 nears maturity, a large gas sac forms with the center of the plant as it reaches its typical maximum dimension of approximately 10 centimeters in height and 25 centimeters in diameter. This sac is filled with volatile gases, including blank and several substances unique to SB822. At the same time, the skin of SB822 hardens until it reaches a point not unlike sheet metal, and seeds begin to form just under the skin. Once the plant is fully mature, it flowers and begins extruding a pheromone that serves to attract mammals of sufficient mass to trigger its anomalous property. No? I mean, it always says here, landmine cacti, so I imagine it, the moment you get real close, you're like, what is this? It's just, and the gas just, though an unknown mechanism whenever any living creature of sufficient mass, approximately 10 to 20 kilograms, approaches within 3 meters of SB822, the central portion containing the gas sac violently detonates, causing shrapnel-like shards of SB822 skin to fly through the air. These fragments are capable of embedding themselves into the skin and flesh of any living creature nearby, which can carry the seeds of SB822 away. That's how it poorly reproduces, spreads its seeds. Living creatures struck by these fragments that do not die from physical trauma eventually succumb to a potent neurotoxin synthesized by the fragments within 3 to 6 hours. Oh, okay. I thought you want to walk around and just spread your seeds around, SB-822 was first discovered at a military proving ground near Redacted. SB-822 was reported to the Foundation after 3 personnel were killed when they drove a vehicle near a large patch of SB-822, and a 4th managed to return to the base before expiring. Subsequent investigation of the infested area turned up hundreds of specimens of SB-822 as well as the corpses of thousands of animals that had wandered into the area and been killed, some of which had SB-822 growing directly from their bodies. After sample specimens were collected, the entire area was subjected to firebombing, incinerating all remaining SB-822 in the area. And we have some experiment. I would not experiment with a cactus that explodes and has poison in it. Just seems like a very not very wise of a choice to do. Record of experimentation performed to determine limits of triggering mechanism for SB-822. Date. The dates are all blanked out, so I'm not going to say them. Subject, D9912. Subject equipped with a military-grade bomb suit and instructed to approach SB-822. Results, SB-822 detonates as subject approaches within precisely 3 meters of specimen. Shock sensors record blast as equivalent to the detonation of a blank landmine. Subject suffers injuries consistent with being in close proximity to high explosive detonation, such as ruptured eardrums. Subject, robotic rover, approximately 20 kilograms in mass. Manipulation of specimen of SB-822 using rover attempted. Subject successfully approaches SB-822 and successfully uproots SB-822 specimen. However, specimen is dropped while moving away, causing specimen to detonate. Rover badly damaged. So, yeah, you have to be alive. You have to be a living thing for it to suddenly like.
Hey there. Why don't you come a bit closer, please? Yes. If you like what you smell, I got more of that. I got more. Come on. Just take one more step. Just one more.
SB-9989. Subject is restrained completely as to prevent any movement. Specimen of SB-822 is moved towards subject via robotic rover. By the way, I'm sorry, Meta, if you're here and you watched that and you got jump scared for me doing that. Results, SB-822 specimen detonates when brought within 3 meters of subject. Subject survives initial detonation but succumbs to neurotoxin. Now they're going to use its diseased body. Specimen of SB-822 move towards dead body of subject. Does not detonate even when placed directly on body of subject. Wow, even like SB is like, nah, it's dead. It's dead, Jim. It's dead, Jim. I can't do anything with this. Subject D10021. The specimen of SB-822 placed against a wall of isolation chamber designed to completely absorb all sound, vibration, and temperature fluctuation. Subject instructed to move towards SB-822 while separated by a wall of isolation chamber. Results, SB-822 detonates from when subject approaches within 3 meters of specimen. Minimal damage to isolation chamber, no harm to subject. Apparently, SB-822 is capable of detecting living creatures within its trigger radius, despite not being able to see the target, detects its sounds, or feel any shift in temperature. More experimentation needs to be done to determine how it does this. Dr. Blank. Well, I mean, I'm just spitballing ideas here. It might not be a good idea. But what if you grow a bunch of these around areas where you know enemy companies try to break in, and once they move in there, the cactus like and I'm just saying, it's a good self-defense mechanism. Just saying. You don't have to follow my words. It might cause trouble. Maybe like one of them somehow manage to catch one of these things without it exploding, and then grows their own self-defense mechanism at their location, so I get it. But I mean, I'm just saying, it's a potential ideal carnival of horrors. Hey, we already had a fun land. What are you gonna do? Kill them all? Please don't. Oh, this one is very highly rated. Are the 800s like more known? Because I feel like I see much higher rated ones in the 800s so far than like the 790s were also like some that Alex knew. So are we in this territorium where like the more famous ones are here? I mean, okay, let's be fair. Like a lot of famous ones are in the other ones as well. But I'm just saying. Euclid SCP-823 is to be secured by no fewer than 6 on-site personnel until such time as the decontamination protocols can be established and the artifact in question neutralized. Personnel must respect a 20-meter safe zone around the currently established red no-entry zone at all costs. Any individual, civilian or not, who enters the established red zone is to be terminated immediately by sniper fire. Should music or piping be heard emanating within the red zone, Foundation personnel on site are to immediately don protective earplugs and withdraw from the position for 2 kilometers, perimeter beyond the currently established yellow, no civilian presence zone, and inform Foundation scientific personnel immediately. Following the realignment event, Foundation science personnel will survey the area and determine the boundaries of the new red and yellow zones using Procedure -1 Alpha. Due to the necessity of maintaining auditory alertness, no personnel, music devices, or radios aside from necessary equipment are to be allowed at the observation site. The description: SCP-823 is an abandoned theme amusement park located in blank blank. Site was abandoned in blank after several violent events resulted in the deaths of park attendees. A complete list of said events is included in Supplement -113, Civilian Deaths Attributed to SCP-823. That's good to know. It's not only is it abandoned, but also like apparently a lot of brutal shit was happening in the great fun. 2 individuals, male and female, fused to. SCP-823 was finally abandoned after the event of blank blank blank, also known as Bloody Sunday, when the influence of the artifact in question reached a 20-year peak. 231 attendees were killed, and another 7 injured or maimed. A complete list of casualties is included in Supplement -114. Civilian deaths resulting from event -99 Euclid, but include 2 individuals, male and female, fused together at multiple points after emerging from the Tunnel of Love, Dark Ride, dead. Ooh. Together forever they are, but in a way that they didn't meant. That must have been. Imagine like you go there with like your friends. You know, you're the third wheel. You know, you're just third wheeling it, and they're like, "Oh, can you just wait for us here? We're just gonna go through this real quick. It's not gonna take that long." You're like, "Sure, I'll just be on my phone." And then they're like, "Oh yeah, while we're out, can you take a photo? It would be so cute." And then like, "Yeah, no problem." So you're just there like, "Okay, let me just wait here, blah blah blah." Okay, I can see them entering the tunnel. Okay, let me just wait. It should be like a couple minutes. Oh, here they come. Should probably take a what the fuck? And you see those 2 guys like just stuck together. You're like. One individual wearing a Happy Hippo mascot uniform found dead of suffocation. Mouth, trachea, and lungs were discovered to be filled with vibrous substance later determined to be identical to stuffing in said mascot uniform. Oh, he got stuffed with like foam. Oh no. 15 individuals recovered from the Thrill Chiller roller coaster, all decapitated by a blunt force. Witnesses reported that the deaths did not occur simultaneously but in groups of 2, starting with the front row of seats and ending with the back. Forensic analysis indicates that each set of deaths correspond to a loop or turn in the roller coaster tracks. Damn, son. One individual recovered from under the thriller roller coaster, dead of broken neck and massive cranial trauma caused by the 50-foot fall from an inverted position. Individual was seated at the back of said roller coaster and somehow managed to extricate itself from the ride safety harness halfway through the ride. Yeah, but it's... Fuck. Oh yeah, also the image of SB823 recovered by surveillance drone. Yeah. One individual found dismembered inside the House of Mirrors attraction. Left arm was found 16 feet to the north from the torso. Left leg was found inverted and attached to the ceiling by sinews. Right leg was found in the possession of subject 79, partially consumed. Forensic analysis indicate that the teeth marks found on flesh and bone of the said leg are human in origin. To date, no trace of right arm has been found alive. Alive? Alive? What do you mean alive? For complete record of casualties, please see supplement of 1-1-14 civilian deaths resulting from event. Yeah, of course. Following said event, Foundation Mobile Task Force Row 71 Origami Toads was sent into the site to assess the situation and carry out containment procedure. MTF Row 71 was not successful in determining the cause or location of the death due to the casualties inflicted on team members. See supplement -1-15 casualties among MTF Row 71 resulting from event. Yeah. The partial list of casualties included MTF Row 71 Commander blank blank, cause of death, suicide caused by forced sexual entry through left eye. Resulting in unsurvivable brain trauma. Asian blank blank, cause of death, suicide. Individual was found with all ammunition disassembled, castings and bullets discarded. Blank grams of propellant consistent with the amount of disassembled ammunition found on scene were retrieved from individual's stomach and intestines. Agent blank, cause of death, suicide. Individual was discovered with lacerated lungs and broken jaw. Missing teeth were retrieved from individual lungs and trachea. For complete record of casualties, yeah, of course. Following the deaths of 50% of the mobile task force personnel, on-site supervisor ordered an immediate mission aboard. Containment protocol was switched from retrieval to on-site securement. Standard media blackout procedure were carried out, including data expunged. And then one. Destruction of site per 05 level order. Request for immediate destruction of site by airstrike to be led by MTF New 7 Hammer Down is denied due to the proximity to its civilian population, lack of plausible cover story scenario, and unknown nature of artifact in question. Addendum 2. Red Zone. As of this date, SB823 has undergone 3 realignment events requiring resurveying of affected zones. Apparent range of red, no entry zone, has increased in size by 5% during that time. Rates of expansion appears to be accelerating. The linear rate, see report -2-7. Result of 7th survey of SB823. Request upgrade to Keter. Upgrade to Keter denied by 05 Council. Reason insufficient data to justify reclassification. That was good. I'm into like stuff like this because it's like very horror-esque, and you know, I can see like a movie like that, you know. Maybe there is a similar concept of a movie like that. It would just be really cool to see if anybody actually would make a movie out of it. Active weed control. Euclid Ulterior. That I never seen this one before. I wonder what that means. Is that something? Excuse me. Which is Keith is always worse. There's no really any explanation. Maybe if you read through this, it will explain. Containment procedures: 18 specimens of SB824 and 2 specimens of SB824-1 are to be kept at dedicated greenhouse at Site 41. No other plants are to be planted in this greenhouse. 50 kilograms of dead plant matter are to be provided to each specimen weekly. Research Site 824 has been established on Blank Island, Japan, with the intent of studying the interaction between residents and -1, along with the culture and history of the island in general. The Foundation has absorbed the local government's disinformation and counterintelligence activities in Leo of full scale. Removal of -1 from the island. This is intended to minimize the Foundation impact on the civilian population of the island. Description: SB824 is a species of tree that is characterized by significant mobility and herbivory. While SB824 specimens superficially resemble members of the Ginkgosaceae family, SB824 is radically different from any known species of plant. Each SB824 specimen is capable of bending its trunk, roots, and branches at any point along their length at a rate of no more than 360 degrees per hour, averaging 30 degrees per hour. Sections of SB824 remain rigid while moving, and specimens are as difficult to bend as typical trees. SB824 branches will move at random, primarily at ground level, until they come into contact with living or recently dead plant matter. Should this occur, nearby branches and roots of SB824 will wrap tightly around the plant matter in question, then retract in an attempt to strip it from the main body or pull the plant in its entirety. To SB824 at a rate of roughly 0.5 meters per hour. In this process, SB824 will strip portions of a plant from the main body if necessary. A tree digging out weed from the garden. You ain't belonging here, boy. SB824 roots will maintain a hollow opening on the SB824 up to 3 meters deep, containing a large number of roots less than 3 centimeters in diameter. These roots will, if possible, gather and take hold of stones or similar objects of various sizes in the absence of suitable stones. In the absence of suitable stones, SB824 will be unable to derive sufficient nutrition from plant matter and will cease its attempt to consume plants until stones are provided. Upon plants being procured by the branches, they will be passed down into this area. The roots will use the stones to grind plants into a powder, from which the roots are then able to derive nutrients, water, and minerals. While SB824 gains sustenance from this act, the ultimate caloric gain is typically only marginally greater than that SB824 gains from photosynthesis. It is surmised that these behaviors evolved primarily as a means of removing vegetation from the area surrounding SB824. Addendum: Notable biological characteristics. See document C for further information. SB824 has superficial traits that initially led to Foundation scientists classifying it as a member of the Ginkgosaceae family that simply happen to exhibit anomalous properties. However, genetic analysis of SB824 has shown that it is only distantly related to other trees. The similar appearances are believed to be a result of convergent evolution given the similar location, but this is unconfirmed. SB824 contains a novel type of xylem tissue that allows for rapid transportation of water in order to expand and contract different portions of it at a rapid pace. This is responsible for SB824's characteristics rapid movement. It is believed that several previously unknown auxins have been extracted from SB824 may assist in this effect. However, the exact functionality is not fully known at this time. In order to allow for greater freedom of movement, SB824 has thin, flexible bark that is easily damaged by sharp objects. Due to this and its lack of natural defenses from pathogens, SB824 is highly susceptible to infection and infestation. Recovery: SB824 was found in SB Blank, an extra-dimensional self-contained region accessible from a point in southern China in 1972. Upon discovery, it was host to 8 anomalous species of plant and animals, including SB824. Due to the property of SB Blank, SB824 had not spread outside of this area. Crossed out. Although specimens removed from SB Blank have remained viable, it is believed that SB824 evolved naturally in SB Blank. While a large portion of SB Blank's terrain is covered in kudzu, Puraria lobata, SB824 specimens remain clear of the vine, apparently due to the ability to actively remove plants from the trunks and consume them. SB824 appears to have a comparative advantage over several non-anomalous species of ginkgo found in SB blank, the majority of which were struggling under the condition there. All instances recovered from SB blank were free of pathogens and insects. Addendum: in 2011, several species of SB824 were found outside of containment on blank Island, Japan. The behavior of these specimens has led them of being classified as a separate subspecies of SB824, hereby -1, and this is records recovered from blank Island have uncovered references to farmer trees dating since 1937. All -1 specimens were located in 4 apple orchards on blank Island. Instead of consuming all plant matter within reach, -1 will feed exclusively on weeds and dead plants, leaving living apple trees entirely untouched. Upon encountering a ripe apple, -1 will gently grasp it and remove it from the branch, lowering the branches now holding the apple to roughly 1.5 meters off the ground until it is removed. -1 will consume any apples that are infested, rotten, or unfit for human consumption. The means by which -1 is able to accurately determine whether apples are edible is unknown. Residents of blank Island have not been cooperative with Foundation personnel and generally react with suspicion to inquiries about or studies of -1. Further research into the relation between -1 and the residents of the island is warranted. That is such a funny image to me. That like a bunch of plants or trees are just walking around and be like, weed. You shall not belong here. Out with you. Be gone. Basically. Helmet of Disturbing Visions. Oh, this is a decently lengthy one. Not long, just decent length. Safe. At least the 2 Foundation members must be present for any interaction with SB825. 1 member must be designated monitor and remains at least 2 meters from SB825 at all times. If accidental application occurs, the monitor should notify the security team. The monitor must not attempt removal of SB825 without supervision. It is recommended that the test subjects should not have SB825 applied for more than 180 minutes. Any experiment involving long application must have security team present for removal, as test subject may behave unpredictably. SB825 is a standard-sized helmet of medieval design. The degree of wear is consistent with this dating, provided SB825 has been well cared for. This is entirely probable, as it was liberated from Data Expunged. Despite frequent use, Data Expunged. How long the group had been in possession of SB825, as the only surviving members were not present when Data Expunged, and has itself been designated SB blank. Efforts are still in place to track down anyone else involved in the incident. SB825 has the property of inducing visions in any who wear it. Testing indicates that SB825 does not need to be worn on the head, but that insertion of any part of the body within the volume enclosed by the helmet will count as an application. So if the helmet was like this and you put your hand like this in it, it would count. Upon application, the subject will be unable to move any part of the body below the neck until SB825 is removed. During application, the subject will be unable to see, feel, or otherwise sense the surroundings, with the exception of sounds which the subject will hear as muted and distant. The subject will also experience highly convincing visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, tactile, and nociceptive hallucinations. So literally every single sense of your body will think is real. The form and nature of the hallucinations varies depending on the subject. The only common element is the disturbing and unpleasant nature of the hallucination, focusing on the subject's phobias and neurosis. Oh boy. You know what this who needed this? The guy from Clockwork Orange, when he was like being fixed. They should have put this on him and he's like, go God. Man, Clockwork Orange is such a weird but awesome movie in my opinion. Like it's just like batshit crazy of what happens in that movie. There's like no explanation. Just a group of people that apparently are such assholes. They're criminals and such assholes that they don't give two shits of what they're doing. And then one of them just gets caught and gets sent into the psychiatric ward, while all the other three are just getting scot-free. They can just get better normally. They just decide to not do anything. I mean, I think one of them doesn't get better, but the majority of them just, get normal. And then when the guy shows up back, they're like all a bit uncomfortable. They're like, oh shit, hey. The subject is invariably highly motivated to be removed from SCP-825 and will go to great lengths to avoid repeat application. Yeah, of course. I mean, you apply a helmet and your phobia is like right in front of you. When SCP-825 is removed, the subject remains physically unharmed, although depending on the duration and nature of the exposure, may suffer from PTSD or mental breakdown. Frequent prolonged exposure results in total mental breakdown and insanity. Experimental log, please include subject ID and any pertinent biographical and or psychological information as well as the test results. All tests are of duration of 30 minutes unless otherwise stated. All subjects whose psychological profile indicates distinctive paranoias, phobias, or neurosis are earthmarked as potential SCP-825 subjects. So we have date, subject, info, results, additional comments, of course. Date, most of it is blanked out, only 2000 blank something. Subject, D14729. First test subject. Subject reported an initial period of blackness before vision returned. Subject responded to questions but complained that it was difficult to hear. After 10 seconds, subject began screaming and demanded to be released. When questioned, his only response was, they're cutting me, get me out. When informed that he would remain until the question was answered, subject hurriedly described the hooded figures who were slowly dismembering him. Further details of the vision was provided after the experiment. The effect of SCP-825 is much as expected from reports provided by Data Expunged, though this currently remains a theory. The hooded figures, huh? I feel like something tells me that D14729 was a black person. I'm just assuming. I might be wrong. It might be something else, but I'm just assuming that's what it is. D14783. Profile indicates subject has a near-death experience after falling into a frozen lake as a child. Subject described being trapped in a small room slowly filling up with water. After 10 minutes, subject became unresponsive to questioning. Technicians discussed removing SCP-825 when subject resumed speaking, describing the room now filled with icy cold water. Process was repeated with foul and polluted water. Each time subject grew more agitated. Process repeated with blood and then liquid excrement. After 370 minutes, subject no longer responded to questioning. SCP-825 was removed. Subject remained unresponsive and was terminated after a 3-day observation period. The escalating pattern is clear as the focus of the subject's personal phobias. He probably drowned in his mind. Because these hallucinations all feel so real, right? From this perspective, from this D-class perspective, he probably, that moment when he became unresponsive, his brain probably shut off because he thought he was dead. Maybe. But also 370 minutes, 6 hours of him being like in his own personal hellscape where like he thinks he's being drowned or being put underwater with different types of liquids, and you decide to just be like, just keep the helmet on. Again, I understand the D-class are not nice people, but sometimes the Foundation are a bunch of assholes. D14791. Profile indicates subject suffers from arachnophobia. Well, that's an easy one. Unexpectedly, subject experienced a vision of being sexually assaulted by several former cellmates. What? Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, I expected spiders to come out, but subsequent investigation revealed that such an attack occurred during a previous interaction. SB825 was removed for 10 minutes and the subject was informed that it would be reapplied. Subject answered intimate questions and followed the meaning instruction in a frantic attempt to prevent reapplication. Reapplication resulted in a similar vision, except all participants were now covered in spiders. Oh, fuck. After removal, subject damaged restraints in his attempt to escape and was sedated. Containment facility outfitted with strong restraints. I mean, come on. Why would you make a person wear it twice? Like that vision was already like bad enough. That it just got worse. I hope you made it up to her somehow. Experiment animal can 16925. Adult canine SB825 applied for 9 seconds. Subject displays considerable discomfort and cowers from SB825 after removal. When restrained and approached with SB825, subject became highly aggressive. Subject was later terminated without further experimentation. I hope Meta is not here to read this part. This confirms that SB825 is also effective on non-humans. Request submitted for talking bird or singing ape for further experimentation. Technician blank and security personnel blank. Accidental application. The circumstance of application are unknown, but both subject was discovered holding SB825 with their fingers just inside the rim. The position suggested that blank was first to be exposed and that blank was exposed in the attempt to remove SB825 from him. It is estimated that subjects were exposed for 9 hours before discovery. Both were unresponsive. Containment procedures updated to prevent a similar incident occurring. In subsequent experimentation, SB825 will be applied to some other appendage rather than the head, so that facial expression of subjects may also be monitored. Yeah, now that they know that you can only put a finger in and it would work. D14827, subject in sentence for 4 counts of homicide, the earliest being his father, who it is suspected was abusive. Subject has 2 younger sisters whom he is fiercely protective. See history of violent incidents with other inmates resulting from insults against his family. It was predicted that the subject would likely relive an incident of abuse against himself or his family by his deceased father, whom the subject greatly feared. While this was broadly the case, the subject found himself in the position of the attacker, unwillingly committing a series of increasing violent physical and sexual attacks against his mother and 2 sisters. It makes sense. He's scared of becoming like his dad. Subject was discovered in his cell this next morning, having committed suicide. While SB825 does not directly cause physical harm, clearly the mental effect can result in indirect harm. Care must be taken in the post-processing of subjects, particularly those of continuing value. It's so messed up that they're like... It only took them until now to realize, like, oh yeah, the mental damage this thing does is pretty high. Maybe we should be a bit more careful with who we pick. You think? You really think? Took you this long? D14833. Profile indicates subject suffers from musophobia and possesses a low level of intelligence and imagination. What's musophobia? Why does phobias have to like always mean the it's an extremely common type of this probably is the fear of mice or rats. Okay, why couldn't like arachnophobia makes sense because it's an arachnid. Spiders are arachnids. Same with Scorpios. The arachnids. That makes sense. But why is every other phobia in existence not named after the thing that you're supposed to be scared of? I don't understand that. And possesses... I mean, maybe muso is... What is mice in Latin? Murus. Okay. Rat. Murus... Okay, what happens if I give in muso? I don't get it. As expected, the subject reported receiving confinement in a room with several rodents. When asked if he was being bitten, the subject responded, "No, wait, now they are." Because that was not part of the fear just yet. The fear was just that the mice and rats are there, but the moment they're like, "Oh, they're biting you," you're like, and you're like, oh, I hope not, but then they will, because you're like, oh, it made your phobia worse. Further suggestions as to how the vision could be worse, example, large rats being restrained, being confined in a tiny box filled with rats, the rats specifically attacking subject's eyes and genitals, were all subsequently introduced into the subject's vision after a short delay. While it may be possible for the sequence to be a natural progression similar to that experienced by other subjects, there is a significant correspondence in the timing of the suggestions to the inclusions. It seems that the vision are related to the subject's ability to conceive of the scenario. The escalation may be a natural consequence of the subject speculating on ways in which their situation could be worse. In case of D14833, the subject was unimaginative enough that such speculation did not occur until prompted. Yeah, so as I was saying, like this one didn't think about it until you like immediately like came up to him with like, hey, are they like really big, like the size of a dog? No. Oh, now they are. D14856, subject was sedated prior to application. SB825 was removed before consciousness was regained. Subject reported disturbing nightmares but did not seem as affected as previous subject. Subject did not recognize SB825 and did not resist application. Subject reacted normally and displayed the usual reaction to SB825 afterwards. It seems that the vision still occurred during unconsciousness, but the unconscious mind is less affected. Yeah, because it's more seen as a nightmare. You think it's a bad dream, but in the moment like you awaken, the same bad dream happens around you. Then you're like, oh shit. D148 MSN03. Subject is mentally subnormal. When questioned about his initial experience, subject responded that there were people being mean to him. Promptings and suggestions were able to affect the nature of the vision to the degree. However, subject was unable to comprehend anything but a simple suggestion, thus advanced scenarios did not manifest. Additional comments. This test seems to confirm that the active role that the subject's own imagination plays in determining the nature of the vision, which are limited to that which the subject can conceive. D14873. Profile indicates that subject suffers from... okay, what is this one? I wonder if like any human being out there, I'm pretty sure, I don't even have to finish that question, but I wonder if somebody out there knows what every single phobia means. It's a kind of phobia where you have an extreme fear of snakes. Okay. Rather than a snake-related vision as predicted by the subject's profile, the subject instead found himself torturing a number of dogs in various ways. The subject was unable to explain why this should be the case. When threatened with further application, the subject confessed to an incident in his childhood. Biometrics together with inconsistencies in the story indicate that it was fabrication created to avoid application. As an extension to the test, on return to the general population, the subject was falsely informed that D14850 had committed acts of cruelty against dogs. D14850 was convicted as a serial killer, but no evidence suggests that he was guilty of animal abuse. D14850 was later found beaten to death by a subject who was subsequently terminated. Additional comments. It seems that SCP-825 is capable of exploiting psychological vulnerabilities even the subject is not aware of. It's also clear that as an interrogation tool, SCP-825 suffers from the same risk of false confessions as all other advanced interrogation techniques. Laboratory rat, Rattus norvegicus, Sprague-Dawley strain, female, age 7 months. The Sprague-Dawley strain of rat has been bred for docility and ease of handling. SB-825 was turned upside down and test subject was placed within. Test subject immediately began convulsing and spasmodically voiding its bowels and bladder. After 15 seconds of convulsion, subject died. Necropsy indicates that subject died of massive heart attack caused by adrenaline surge. Further experiments with Sprague-Dawley rats had similar results, with median exposure times before cardiac failure being 9.32 seconds. Poor rats and dogs, man. They don't need to have this traumatic experience. Laboratory rat, another one, Wistar strain, female, age 7 months. The Wistar strain of rat is known for being more active than most other strains of laboratory rats. SCP-825 was tuned upside down and test subject was placed within. Test subject immediately voided its bowels and bladder, then began distress vocalization and biting motions. After 15 seconds, SCP-825 was turned right side up. Upon retrieval, the test subject immediately began biting research assistant G. Blank through its gloves, causing serious damage to G. Blank's index finger before being flung across the room and dying on impact with the opposing wall. Oh, again, poor rat. Again, they don't really deserve any of this. Also, maybe wear better gloves when dealing with a traumatized rat. Again, why is it so hard to imagine that animals will get aggressive after this? And that this shit traumatizes anybody that wears it or was in it. Additional comments, further experiments with Witstar rat revealed exposure to SCP-825 consistently leads to drastically heightened aggressiveness in survivors, with social grooming activities being reduced or eliminated. Cannibalistic infanticide is ubiquitous. All test subjects have died of heart attack immediately upon second exposure to SCP-825. Wow. Okay. Earthworm, Lumpicus terrestris, age 14 months. I mean, how do we know if an earthworm can feel fear? SB-825 was turned upside down and test subject was placed within. After 15 seconds, SB-825 was turned right side up. Upon retrieval, subject manifested no discernible behavioral changes. Necropsy revealed no difference in brain structure between test subject and control subject. This is significant progress. We seem to have found a lower limit beyond which this SCP is ineffective. Dr. Blank. Yeah, I mean, I feel like earthworms have like the highest chance of not getting affected by this thing. They kind of just move and just dig. They're not afraid of much because they don't really have a understanding of fear, I would say. That was a decent long read, but yeah, okay, let's go on. Draws you into the book. Oh, there's an experiment log. Is the experiment log super long? Decently long. Not super long, decently long. Not a big rating one. Draws you in the book. Safe. SB-826 is to be kept in a 25 centimeters times 25 centimeters safe with a numerical keypad lock. The combination with the lock will be given only to those with level 2 clearance and will be changed and on a weekly basis. On a lockly basis, I almost said. SB-826 is a 20 centimeters times 15 centimeter pair of book ends molded in the shape of two outward-facing dragon heads. Ah, man. Those shelf book ends are really cool. Wait, it's bookends like... Is that what I think it is? Wait, hold on. Yes. I really love stuff like those. Yeah, see like stuff like this. I think those are like super fun. Yeah, see that's just dope. That's just dope. SB-826 is to be kept. Yeah, I already read that. Dragon has scraping from the surface of SB-826 revealed a composition of 99% SN, 0.5% CU, 0.3% SP, and 0.2% PB. I don't know what all those means. Consistent with high grade. I was really shitty with chemistry in high school. And also I completely forgot all of it. I didn't really care about it. However, it is unclear whether SB-826 is solid pewter or whether the pewter is merely a plating for some unknown elements which gives the SB its properties. When a subject places a book between SB-826 touching both ends and leaves the room, SB-826 will in an instantaneous process convert the interior of whatever room it is currently located in, a room defined as an enclosed area, into the setting of the contained book. Any form of entry into the room will instead open into a random location within the book setting. During this transformation process, SB-826, along with the contained book, will relocate to another part of the book setting, showing a preference for places where books are normally found, library studies, etc. To reverse the effect of SB-826, a subject must remove the book from SB-826 and exit whatever room SB-826 was found in. The subject will find themselves outside the original room of SB-826 containment, while SB-826 containment room will be restored to normal. But it's only the room that no characters show up, right? Just the room itself changes to like a location. In addition, the subject will find themselves at a random temporal location in the book's plot, ranging from the beginning to near the end of the book. If the subject does not find SB826 within the setting before the end of the book, SB826 will reset the setting starting the book plot over. The subject will then be incorporated in the book as a background character, losing all memories of a previous life outside of SB826. Researchers studying SB826 are advised to enter the results into experimental log. I'm actually really curious. This sounds like a lot of fun. Okay. Here we go. Head researcher Dr. Blank, subject Agent Blank, book Little House on the Prairie. I wonder how many books here I actually read and didn't read. I didn't read that one, I think. Little House on the Prairie? Don't think I did. Let me look at an image. Yeah, no, definitely not. One GPS locator, one two-way radio, one canteen filled with water, one watch, one 9mm semi-automatic with extra cartridges. Yeah, that's what you need in the Little House on the Prairie. I'm not sure. I don't know what the book series is. The plot is about. Maybe there's a guy who's like who's fucking crazy. Upon entry into the affected area, all communications and transmissions immediately ceased. After a period of 5 minutes, Agent Blank emerged from the door unharmed. Agent Blank was dropped in the middle of a prairie with a green smudge of the west, presumably the verdigris river of the book. Agent walked towards the river for approximately an hour before coming across an individual claiming to be Charles Ingalls, who invited him for dinner. Agent accompanied Ingalls back to his home, a log cabin in the prairie, where he met the rest of his family and discovered SB826 sitting on the mantelpiece. When Agent pointed out SB826 to the family, they claimed SB826 was not there before, but did not appear concerned about its presence. So they can actually recall the book wasn't there before. They don't act like it's part of the world. They're just like, oh, hey, well, that's weird. Oh well. Agent ate dinner with the family and afterwards asked if he could take the SB-contained book with him. The family allowed him to take the book. Agent proceeded to remove the book from SB-826 and exited through the cabin door into the research team's room. Display time on watch is consistent with Agent Blank's store report that he had spent several hours in the settings. Addendum: examination of the affected copy of the book reveals an additional paragraph in the book mid-section describing Agent Blank's visit in language consistent with Laura Ingalls' Wilder style. No mention is made, however, if SB826 agent is simply described as having dinner and leaving. The textual deviation is unique to the affected copy of the book. That is pretty dope, though, that he's now involved. I mean, I guess I wonder if that means all the books change this way or only that book that they put in the... Oh, my... Okay, how about this one? Bit of ocean. I mean, I always wanted to have rain because, like, I feel like rain is such a much better, like, reading atmosphere than beach. But beach is also pretty good. Let's be honest, the beach is also a nice place to read a book. Or like at a beach house where you can hear the waves. So, Agent Blank, The Shining DVD. Okay, not the book, but the DVD. Okay. 1 GPS. Two-way radio, canteen field, that seems all the... And 1 video camera attached to Agent's hat, of course, because they didn't bring a camera last time. After Agent Blank entered SB containing room, GPS and radio proceeded to malfunction as in previous experiment. After roughly 30 seconds, Agent Blank exited the room and gave video camera to research team. Tape was playable and contained the following footage. Agent Blank enters into a hotel room from what appeared to be a closet, and after exploring the room and confirming she could not exit through the closet, leaves the room. Agent continues down the hallway and eventually arrives in the hotel lobby. Agent explores behind front desk and enters a hotel manager office where SB826 sits on a shelf besides hotel ledgers. Agent removes DVD from SB826 and exits through the office door into research room. Oh, so nothing... So they did end up in... Oh, by the way, now I just realized this answers my question. Yeah, you actually get to meet the characters. And so on. Right? Yeah, you get to meet the characters. Okay. Except this one didn't. Examination of DVD copy revealed no major plot deviations, most likely due to the fact Agent did not interact with any of the characters. Experiment demonstrates that SB826 can work on DVDs as well as books. Okay. Asian Blank, the Mammoth Book of Comic Fantasy, a collection of short stories. Oh, is that really a good idea? I feel like short stories might be a bit risky. Equipment: 1 canteen for water, 1 watch, 1 with extra cartridges, 1 video camera attached to the headset, no use of the GPS locator, and 2 a radio discontinued due to the uselessness in the previous test. Yeah, makes sense. Like none of that works. So, let me just check something. Okay. Asian Blank returned after 7 minutes, having experienced and recorded just over 9 hours. Examination of the recorded footage reveals that the Asian experienced a portion of the short story, The Eye of Tandila, and was forced to defend himself from a temple guard's killing too. This caused the alarm to be raised, and though Asian Blank was able to retrieve the book from a temple library and escape, the protagonists were apparently caught and executed. The old copy of the book now reflects this change, although the cause of the alarm is not mentioned, with other stories remaining unaltered. It should also be noted that the book now contains 7 fewer pages than the standard unaltered copy. Yeah, because the protagonist is fucking dead. Dr. Blank requests that further experiments be performed with books of short stories to determine whether the entire book will be experienced or just a single story if the book is not recovered from SCP-826 before the story ends. Okay, here we go. Dr. Edison. The sword that shoots laser beams when you swing it. A 3-page short story written by Dr. Edison. The story consists of a poetic description of a sword that shoots laser beams when swung. I mean, that's the Master Sword in the Legend of Zelda games, so... Not very creative there, Dr. Edison. The story states... I felt got a little bit stiff when I did this, so I was like... I had to quickly crack it. The story states that it stands on a pedestal as thousands of years pass uneventfully. 1 canteen filled with water, 1 watch, 1 video camera, 2 agents, and here we go. Subject is instructed to retrieve the aforementioned sword, test its magical properties, and then bring it out. Subject enters the door and returns 5 minutes later with the original story and sword. Testing proved that the sword, when swung in an arc greater than 45 degrees, emits a beam of radiation consistent with the output of a CO2 laser. So has since been assigned to Dr. Edison for further study to determine energy sources, laser medium, and optical resonators. He just wanted a fucking lightsaber sword. He just wanted a sword that shoots laser beams. That's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. Next thing you know, he's gonna be writing "Girl that loves me." Person that always will cherish me. Video logs shows that the sword is in question matched textual description, including the ability to shoot laser beams, and that Asian Blank did indeed bring the sword with him. The story itself remains unchanged, except for the paragraph about a man matching Asian Blank's description, stealing the sword and taking it to parts unknown. So it has been dubbed -1. Okay. But isn't that a bit scary though? Because wouldn't that indicate that now they could potentially follow him into your world if there's like an army on the other side? And then there we go. I think scientific testing has proven inconclusive. Molecular analysis shows that -1 has a molecular structure consistent with laser printer paper the medium original story was printed on, yet behaves like a high-grade steel in all other respects. The laser beam, on the other hand, acts like a CO2 laser in all respects but speed, which is clocked at a mere 60 km per hour, far slower than conventional lasers. Attempts to collect this energy have proven futile, as energy dissipates within blank point blank seconds, regardless of hitting a target. Of further note, Agent Blank has come into the delusion that he's a man named Gulfor from the kingdom of Solgorn. How long was he in there? Agent Blank has insisted on the return of -1 to his homeland and to be released from whatever foul sorcery has been placed under. All attempts at treatment have proven futile. Dr. Edison requests that all further testing with SCP-826 is to be done by D-class subjects. Yeah, I mean, if they can do it just as good, And then 2, precisely blank 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 on blank blank blank, exactly 72 hours from Agent Blank's last trip into SCP-826, Agent Blank and -1 simultaneously disappeared. No trace has been found of the 2, and Agent Blank existence has been stripped from all Foundation records, including backup copies. The story used in the test in all aspects identical, bearing a mention that the name was Galthor. Once again, Dr. Edison suggests that the further testing of SCP-826 is to be done by D-class subjects. D-826-1, the sword that shoots the... Yep, same thing as before, except police issue X-26 taser loaded. Subject is asked to retrieve Agent Blank. Subject does not return after 5 minutes. Agent C Blank enters SCP-826 and retrieves the story without incident. Now, the story now has an additional detail on a man in a strange garb trying to... Sorry, there's something really bad on my back. Trying to stop Agent Blank with a magic weapon hereby known to man, which matches a description of a X-26 police taser. So then describes Agent Blank entering D-826-1 with -1 before locking him in the foulest of dungeons in Castle Hyleth. Recovered from footage confirms incident. And now we have D2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of whom have military training. The soldier shoots, Same copy that we saw from previous years, all the same stuff, okay, except 6 canteens, 6 watches, 6, and so on and so forth. Subjects were given a successfully apprehended Agent Blank and -1, and D1, leaving -1 behind. Story acknowledges all changes, describing 6 rogues who clamored to avenge the blood of their fallen brother, capturing Agent Blank. Agent Blank still experiencing pathological delusion and remains unconvinced that he is a knight named Galthor. Likewise, D-826-1 claims to be a blood wizard named Hrothmorn, seeking to claim -1 to himself. D-826-1's X-26 taser has turned into a magic staff capable of shooting lightning, and is hypothesized to have physical properties similar to -1. Item has been labeled -2 and has been sent to Site Blank for further testing. Also, subject D-826-2 and all of them and -7 are now claiming to be Knights of the Throne sent to aid Galthor. Maybe... I think the only reason this is happening is because it's a 3-page story. Even though you say there's 1,000 years that nothing happens, the story is still 3 pages. So maybe that's the reason why all of them suddenly become part of the background characters and delusional. And then 2. As in the previous experiment, Agent Blank, subject, all of these, and -2 disappeared at blank blank on blank blank again, exactly 72 hours from exiting SB-826. Story now says that Galthor was indeed accompanied by 6 Knights of the Throne who were armed with arcane weapons given to them by the good wizard Edison Grad. Edison, that's his name, Dr. Edison. All researchers that have been handling -2 or SB-826 are accounted for. Further monitoring of researchers handling objects from SB-826 is recommended. Okay, seriously, how did this thing know my name? I'm sure I didn't tell it to either of the agents, and I'm damn sure that I didn't tell any of the subjects. I know this turns up so much in our line of work that it's kind of cliche, but I think this thing might just be sentient, Dr. Edison. Maybe, dude. Head researcher Dr. Aaron Torres. Subject D-87631, a copy of Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. Oh god. This might either go really well for him or horrible. 1 military grade saber. The purpose of the test was to determine how significant SCP-826 will allow alteration to the main storyline. I mean, yeah, the Game of Thrones is pretty big. It's big. It's a lot of land, a lot of characters. That book might be anywhere in the the poor D class, he has to look through so many different regions just to find his book. Test subject was instructed to disembowel the first person it saw in the work. Upon entering, subject found itself in a circular room along with the character Lord Edward Stark, who was unarmed. Subject attempted to stab Stark but tripped and fell before he could so. Subject recovered and tried multiple times to approach Stark, but he tripped on multiple inconveniently placed objects. Subject eventually managed to stab Stark, but apparently only gave a minor wound. Subject retreated from the room and eventually found a book in the library within the castle. So it looks like looks like the books don't allow heavy influence. Just enough, like, oh, you're here, you do this, but not something like actually killing the character before he's supposed to die, or yeah. Upon retrieval, the text itself has not been significantly altered. The only recorded changes to the text were multiple new paragraphs regarding an attempt on Stark's life by a rather unintelligent and bumbling assassin. Presumably, SB-826 will adjust setting and events in minor ways to prevent major changes to the work's core continuity. Dr. King is the head researcher D48279, The Odd Couple by Neil Simon, one head-mounted camera. Subject arrived in the landscape consisted of pioneer-era America. He encountered a man traveling down a road matching historical description of Jonathan Chapman, who greets the subject and continues walking. Subject sees SB-826 in the branches of a nearby tree, then returns to the testing chamber. Through a passage in the hollow of said tree, the book originally placed in SB-826 is found to have been replaced with a modified copy of Johnny Appleseed by Rosemary Carr Bennett. Head researcher Dr. Pretorius, D21094, Death by the Book by Juliana Deering. One can be filled with water, one watch, one video camera attached to the test subject. Set. Upon entering, the test subject returned after 15 minutes. After interviewing the subject and reviewing the footage, it was discovered that the beginning of the novel was the first location found by the subject, being the murder scene that is investigated by the main characters and sets the stage for the remainder of the book. The characters, being from 1930s period piece, reacted inquisitively to the D-class alien clothing and behavior, but did not impede the subject's examination of the surroundings. In fact, at one point, the investigator, Chief Inspector Birdsong, interpreted the orange jumpsuit worn by the subject as a meaning that they were from the coroner's office, and encouraged them to wait nearby until he was finished examining the crime scene. It was at this time that the video showed the murder weapon used in the crime scene and sitting next to the body, originally written as a marble bookend shaped like a bust of William Shakespeare, was in fact one half of SB-826. The novel that had been entered was lying on the floor roughly halfway between the murder weapon and the other half of SB-826. The test subject immediately retrieved the novel despite the poses of the characters and exited the novel before they could react. Upon examination, the novel now contained an additional character to the first chapter, described as an opportunistic thief who took advantage of the crime to pilfer the belongings of the deceased. Of special note is that the murder weapon was now a handsome bookend of a particular high quality. This is the first reported incident of SB-826 integrating itself into the plot of a novel. It might be an indicator of sentience or merely the narrative taking advantage of the fact that the SCP is identical to an item already in the novel. More testing is suggested. Okay, interesting. Oh my god, there's so much. Dr. Cohen, D6187, an attempt to deal with the problem, a 4-page booklet that details an adventure of a small boy who finds a stick which instantly and permanently kills any lizard it comes in contact with. One head-mounted camera, D6187, did not return, and no video stream was received by the designated receiver. Upon the conclusion of the book, 3 days, 14 hours, and 15 minutes later, no characters matching the description of the topic was found. Within the text of an attempt to deal with a problem, the phrase "nice try" was written in red ink and 92.6 pt Comic Sans from across the second page. He's fucking dead, yo. He died. They killed him. The book killed him. The kid was like, you think you can just walk into my story and do all that shit? Whoa. How much is left? Okay, Karpatov. Okay, we're reaching the near end. This one was a long one, but it's a fun one. D1916 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs DVD. One Human Heart. What? D1916 30-year-old white woman went through several plastic surgeries that made her a copy of Scarlett Johansson, a famous actress. The purpose of the experiment was whether SCP-826 could allow an outside subject to take the place of the main character of the plot if it turned out to be more suitable for the conditions of forming the plot. In this case, it was checked whether D1916 could be more beautiful than Snow White. Since D1916 was not a princess, the queen didn't send her to the forest with a hunter. Instead, she ordered D1916 to be executed for the attempted murder of the queen and the dismemberment of an unknown nobleman. The heart given to D1916 was used as evidence of dismemberment. After that, the plot goes almost unchanged, although the hunter mentions that criminal and that Snow White expects the same outcome as her. Okay. Why was a human heart included in the thing that she had to carry through anyway? Why wasn't she just a beautiful lady that was sent in? Oh, same copy that was sold from the previous test, alteration and all. One police issue. Okay, this one. Alright, Hunter, you wanna fucking go? You might have a gun, but I got a taser. Okay. D3721 is asked to save D1916, and after D1916 was rescued, the disc was shattered. At the same moment, D1916 was torn apart, after which it disappeared. Unfortunately, even the destruction of the data carrier cannot save incorporated victims. Dr. Kobatov. Yeah, that's a shame. Subject D. Okay, it's all the same doctor, I see. Okay. D2380, No More Diseases, a short story about a box full of SCP 500, which I believe is the red pills, which stands in an abandoned hunter's house on a hill near the forest in which no animal lives for a long time since the hunter shot everyone and then died of hunger himself. The plot emphasized that the hunter used SCP-500 to cure any disease. And one had mounted camera. So the purpose of the experiment was to test whether the object pulled from history could be used for practical purposes. The object was instructed to pick a box of SCP-500 and take the box with him. The effect of SCP-500 was tested on 2 rabbits, 2 foxes, and 2 wolves. A personal file was created for each animal with a small dossier and a story about the purchase of these animals by the fund. Exactly 72 hours later, a box full of SCP-500, D2380, and the animals disappeared along with the personal files. In the story, there was no mention that the son of the hunter lived in the hunting lodge for whom the hunter gave all the food when he could no longer find animals in the forest. The son of a hunter walks through the forest and watches foxes, wolves, and rabbits and makes a promise to himself that he will not let them die so as not to repeat his father's mistakes, but will start gardening using SCP-500 so that the plants do not get sick. Okay. And the last 4 ones. D1262, the Miller's Rod, a little story about a stick with a silver knob that turns lead into gold if touched with a knob. One head mounted camera. The subject took the Miller's Rod and left the story. The rod was tested on 3 lead ingots. The transformation was successful. 1 ingot was melted together with an ordinary gold ingot, thoroughly mixed and put into molds. 1 ingot was crushed by a hydraulic press, and 1 ingot was melted into a ring. After 72 hours, 2 gold ingots and 1 gold plate and 1 gold ring, and D1262 disappeared. In the text, it been mentioned that the rod was found by a man with the name Urus, who began to use it for his own benefit. Buying lead scrap, he turned it into gold, melted it down, and sold it. Ingots, a plate, and a ring are also mentioned in the text. What was required to prove? Any change made by items from stories will make the changed ones become part of the story. Dr. Kobatov. D3126, Ants. Oh, the movie Ants. Yeah, that one. 1 canteen filled with water, 1 watch, 1 video camera attached to test subjects, headset, 1 motorbike. One motorbike. Doom, 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 doom. If your motor running, heading on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way. And the ants are like, what the fuck? The subject is instructed not to come close into contact with ants or termites until the picnic scene. A new scene has appeared in the movie. D3126 rides up to Zed and Bala on a motorcycle. They were surprised by the appearance of D3126 and his transport, but D3126 immediately left. Interesting. This movie was chosen because the main character in it are ants, and at the same time there are people to some extent. The purpose of the experiment was to check whether D3126 would be the size of an ant or the size of a man. Dr. Kobatov. Okay. Looking for adventure. Born to me. I just imagine he's just like, it's like a mini motorcycle, a mini human, just for the fucking force of grass. Born to be wild. And all the ants are like, the fuck is this? What is happening? D30688, a video recording of D3631, D1716, there's so many D classes in this one, and D3088 discussing a football match for 10 minutes. At the beginning of the video, D3088 enters the room. One video camera attached to the test subject has said the subject was surprised by two D3088 in the same room, but did nothing and did not prevent the real D3088 from taking a book. It seems that the real people can't be integrated into the video with their participation, as this would disrupt the plot. D3631 disc with a video recording of D1716 entering a room with SB826 on the table and taking the disc. One video camera attached to the set subject said there were two SB826 on the table instead of one. D3631 took one of the discs and left the room. He was monitored for 72 hours. D3631 was not integrated into the plot of the video. It seems that the object cannot integrate itself in the plot where it already exists. Oh my god, that was a long one, but that was a lot of fun. I gotta say, that was a lot of fun. There's so many more endless possibilities of books that you can do this with, or movies you can do this with. Yeah. You just become part of the plot, man. This is a way for people to finally become part of Harry Potter. They're like, just leave me be, man. I want to be part of this world. But you might be one of the people who dies. The soup. Say what you want about me, but lay off the soup. If you like soup so much, why don't you marry soup? Because I'm already married to justice. Huh, right, only a blind girl would marry you. Okay, I'm sorry. That if you don't know what I'm talking about, that whole section did not make sense to you. Okay. Save. SB827 has been established at the location of SB827 Discovery. For the purpose of the Foundation, SB827 has been outfitted with a specialized cell reactor that allows for introduction of samples and removal of their products. Personnel actively interacting with SB827 are to wear full level C or higher hazmat gear. Samples introduced into SB827 require approval of project director. Samples from only one individual at the time are to be introduced to ensure that there is no genetic cross-contamination. All samples are to be screened for genetic chimerism. In the event that more than one distinct genetic sample is introduced to SB827, the sample is to be removed using procedure 827 Hari and incinerated. Tissue from the central nervous system is not to be used in SB827 tests following incident 827-blank. Description: SB827 is a semi-solid mass of biological active human stem cells. SB827 is capable of self-renewal and is totipotent, with cells replacing themselves at a rate of approximately 200,000 cycles of mitosis per day. with roughly the same amount dying off per day at times of ratting. SB827 mass is currently 353 kilograms and remains stable. When a sample of human organs tissue is introduced to SB827 mass, it is broken down and assimilated into a mass using a unique enzyme. Following this, SB827 cells will enter an active state and will begin to generate copies of the organs from which the tissue originated. These organs, designated -8, differ from the original purpose in drastic ways. Introduction of muscular tissue, for example, has resulted in full muscular systems developing and attempting to escape SB827, while introducing of a human jaw has resulted in what was termed a broken tooth tree, a plant-like structure with a trunk of muscular tissue with branches made from malformed jaws. Assuming that SB827-A instances are remaining and still in contact after a period of approximately 2 to 3 days, the instances will be digested and reassimilated into SB827's mass. SB827 is only capable of assimilating human tissues. Attempts to introduce non-human tissues, including hair from lower primates and bone samples of extinct humanoids, has resulted in a deterioration of health in SB827. Furthermore, all liquid samples are rejected by SB827. Addendum sample log: a sample part of a human liver donated by Dr. Ming. Dr. Ming was suffering from liver failure and due to a rare blood type donated on the condition that the resultant organ be transplanted back into him. After 12 hours, SB827 produced one apparently healthy human liver matching Dr. Ming's blood type. Transplant was successful. However, the -A instance was incapable of producing bile or processing alcohol. Instead, it acted similar to a liver found in a human fetus, producing red blood cells. Dr. Ming developed primary polycythemia and eventually died due to his condition. Shit. Well, that didn't go as planned. 1 pelvis and 2 femurs. 7 hours after introduction, the surface of SB827 calcified entirely. Researchers broke through the calcium shell, exposing the resultant -A instance into the air. -A instance resembling a human pelvis, but with a single joint with the coccyx will be located, with a single leg growing out of it. The instance had developed musculature due to improper cleaning procedures. Approximately 90 minutes after exposure, the instance was broken down by SB827. 1 male human head with all tissues intact. Donor was a civilian decapitated in an industrial accident. Sample was digested in 2 hours. 36 hours later, resultant -A instance was fully formed. Subject was humanoid in appearance, but severely malformed. Skull had been flattened out in a mushroom-like shape to account for a brain that had been unfolded and spread flat. Furthermore, the intestines of the -A instance had unraveled, but the spinal column was too weak to support it and collapsed when removed from SB827, killing the instance. Before removal, the instance wrote the letter G several times in an attempt to communicate. That's kind of freaky. That's kind of freaky dicky, I gotta say. 2 sets of bones taken from human hands from 2 different donors. A vaguely serpentine instance of -A was created, assembled entirely from the various bones found in the human hand. The instance was capable of independent locomotion and began growing musculature and skin resembling that of a human arm. The instance escaped SB827 and was capable of surviving for 6 days despite the lack of any digestive or respiratory system before being neutralized by a security agent. 1 human brain. After 18 hours, SB827 produced a reconstruction of a nervous system, but anomalous in construction. The brain was triple lobed and appeared to be built for a hexapodal humanoid with 4 arms and 2 legs. Appeared to be self-sustaining within SB827. Upon removal from SB827, the instance expired. Addendum recovery log. SB827 was recovered at the lab of 1 Dr. George Farrow in Redacted, Idaho, USA. Dr. Farrow had disappeared after being diagnosed with malignant pancreatic and breast cancer and was expected to live less than 6 months. According to excerpts from Dr. Farrow's personal notes, he was intending to rejuvenate his organs with self-administered stem cell therapy. It is unknown if SB827 was the result of that therapy or the method Dr. Farrow used. The following are excerpts of notes taken by Dr. Farrow shortly before his disappearance. The cancer's not going away. The therapy should be working. Instead, there are strange lumps all over my skin, but the doctor says they're not tumors, they're not even melanomas or moles. They're just little humps of flesh. I tried lancing it like a boil, but the one on my shoulder ate the needle. It broke off within the damn thing. We'll attempt excision soon. All samples have been excised. They seem to be the same consistency as the soup. Dr. Farrell uses this term repeatedly in his notes to refer to the stem cells he had been using to treat himself. Kind of weird to call something the soup. I placed him in a petri dish, and they conglomerated into one mass. They're completely undifferentiated now. Despite being taken all over my body, I decided to try putting a bit of hair I had saved into it, and it digested it quicker than anything I ever seen. I've locked it in the cell incubator for the time being. I checked on the sample again. It had grown hair all over itself, and it was. I incinerated the damn thing. Now I have even more lumps on my skin. It's like they grow overnight. Insulin levels seem to be stabilizing at any rate. Maybe the cancer's finally going away. I collapsed today from, I don't believe I'm saying this, insulin shock. The doctor said that it was like the entire pancreas just reset itself and released a massive amount of the stuff. I'm writing this from a hospital bed and I feel fine. The screening said that the cancer was gone. Meanwhile, they found even more of these damn lumps on my skin. The lab techs are saying there's some kind of stem cell that explains the hair thing, I guess. We'll stop therapy as soon as I get back home. I started incinerating the soup today. About 50% of the cells are gone, but they're replacing themselves relatively fast. Shouldn't be a problem. I just hit myself in the throat by accident, hurt my thyroid. One problem is, I had my thyroid removed back in 1992. What's more, it feels swollen. What's going on? More of the lumps. And the soup won't stop going. I'm doing that on purpose, by the way. Damn it. I just started cutting them off and throwing them into the soup so it's easier to get rid of it all at once. I'm thinking of saving a small sample for later analysis. Analyze. My entire arm is now one giant soupy lump, and it's rotting. Too many waste products. I got agitated somehow. I tried the egg beater, and that seems to be working well. For now. For now. The entire left side of my body's stem cells. They're useless, but I seem to have a full brain function. Got to agitate it constantly. Maybe I should stick to it all in a big cell reactor. I tried cutting off my arm, or what's left of it. It ate the knife. I can feel it cutting through a second esophagus. My arm just reconstituted itself. So much blood, too many toes. Shit, dude. The soup got you good. Wait, though, there's an entire human body mutating in my soup. Why don't you marry soup? I don't even know how to pronounce that. So, won't even. Oh god, it's gonna be a long one, isn't it? Oh boy. No, it's not that bad. Again, don't know how to pronounce that, but this stream might be like 2.5, maybe 2 hours and 50 minutes, maybe 2.5 hours. That's pretty much the average time of these stuff anyway. Dash 1 is to be housed in a site, it's Euclid, site 641 Marine Mammal Rehabilitation Center located 10 kilometers inland from the coastline of Somerset Island in the Canadian Arctic archipelago. It is to be kept in regular contact with site personnel and interviewed regularly by the on-site psychologist. To facilitate this, as Dash 1 has been granted limited mobility, it is to be surveyed via a GPS-enabled anchor monitoring system. If Dash 1 approaches within 5 kilometers of the ocean, it is to be intercepted by on-site security personnel and returned to containment. Following review by site director, Dash 1 may be placed in a restrictive housing. Dash 1 is not to become into contact with any prepubescent human subject. If this occurs, Dash 1 will mandatorily placed in restrictive housing and an independent investigation of Foundation personnel will follow. See disciplinary document 117138. Dash 1 is to be fed with fish or small whales native to the region. For a full list, see SCP-3-1 Nutrition and Wellness. Only while in a controlled experimental environment may -1 come in contact with -2. -2 is contained in Site 641, reliquary located in the Cunningham Inlet facility. It is to be inspected bi-weekly for deterioration. A textile restoration technician is to inspect -2 bi-monthly for degradation. Repairs will be conducted with the assistance of the on-site classically trained Inuit shaman. Okay, -1 is a humanoid organism that stands 1.4 meters tall with wide pupils, pupilless eyes, and long hair composed of kelp-like unbranched stipes of Alaria esculenta, which is bladderlock kelp. The subject skin resembles that of fish of the Myoxophalus sculpin genus. -1 is amphibious, but cannot remain out of water for more than 10 minutes without suffering from dehydration. The subject's hands and feet are webbed to facilitate swimming. Medical examination of the hair has revealed that it is permeated by extensive vasculature, indicating that the organ is used for gas exchange. The subject body appears emaciated, but the subject has yet to request food. If offered food, -1 will consume it to be polite, but it is unclear if the subject requires regular feeding. The subject was found with severe tooth decay and has been provided with dentures and dental care after containment. When out of the water, the subject's skin emits an odor that has been anonymously described as pleasant by all pubescent human subjects. Importantly, children have described the scent as comforting and maternal during interviews. Analysis of the subject's skin secretion has revealed the presence of a volatile organic substance which may act as a pheromone. It is hypothesized that the compound may aid the subject in its effort to befriend children. Research into the mechanism of action is ongoing. -1 has been extraordinary cooperative. It is Euclid with Foundation personnel during containment. Psychological analysis revealed that -1 exhibits symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, including intrusive recurrent recall, insomnia, and hypervigilance. Paradoxically, these symptoms are exacerbated by exposure to the sea, images of the sea, marine mammals, and images of marine mammals. -1 also exhibits signs of traumatic bonding to the Foundation and individuals associated with the Foundation. It is the recommendation of the psychological staff that this bond be exploited for the purpose of containment and study. -2 is a heavily water-damaged Amauti, a traditional Inuit child-carrying parka that -1 was wearing prior to containment. The garment is made of materials traditionally associated with Inuit clothing: seal, fur, caribou hide, and thick woolen duffel. When -1 places a child into the carrying pouch of the garment, the child is unaffected by cold temperatures or hyperbaric ambient pressure and does not need to breathe. The child remains conscious and aware while contained in -2. Recovery. Okay, so basically, you have a missing link type of creature, like the what was that thing? What was that movie called? Shape of Water, something like that, where you have like a water creature, and then you have a child, and he's like, "Hey, you could swim underwater with me and breathe, and all you gotta do is wear this thing," and you're like, "Ooh, why does it remind me of a cartoon?" Wasn't there a cartoon where they had it was like all about ocean diving, but the child had like magical properties and he could like breathe underwater. I don't know. I vividly remember something like that, but I don't know if I could ever find that again. Also, I don't know if that was like a German cartoon or an American cartoon or a French cartoon. Who knows? SB-828 was recovered from Pangnirtung, Canada, when a missing child, Nathan Kwapik, thought to have been lost in a sudden storm, was discovered by fishermen on the abandoned island of the Iglunga. The following interview was conducted by a local representative of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Interviewed: Nathan Quapic, interviewer Corporal Filigree. The following interview was conducted after child recovery has been translated from Inuktitut. Original transcript available on request. So that's this one, eh? Alright, little man. Why don't you tell me how you managed to get out of the island? Am I in trouble? What? Of course not. Everybody in town was very worried about you. We're just happy to have you back, but we still need to know how you got out there, okay? Okay, well, I was playing on the rocks outside of town. I knew I shouldn't, but the rocks are fun. Sometimes if you sit still, you can see the whales. I like whales. I wanted to see them. Anyway, I saw something swimming in the water. I couldn't see though, and I wanted to get closer so I could, but the rocks are slippery. Sometimes, and I fell. It's okay. You can keep going. Well, it was high tide. If it wasn't high tide, I would have fallen into the mud. A big wave caught me and I bumped my head. I don't remember what happened right after. That's okay. You can tell us what you do remember. Promise you won't think I'm lying? Sure. Well, I woke up and I was underwater. I could see the sun coming through the waves. It wasn't cold though, or wet. I felt safe. I felt warm, like I was wrapped in a fur blanket. Oh, and I saw a whale. And then I felt a wave, like I was riding a wave in the shore, and then I came out of the water on the island where the old buildings are. It was like surfing only on the water. I bet whales feel like that all the time anyway. Anyway, my friend, your friend, my fish friend. I was scared at first because she looked weird, but she's nice. Oh, it's a she, okay. She's the one who caught me when I fell, or at least she said she did, but I don't remember because I hit my head. But she took me out of her amauti, and I was dry, and she told me where to find stuff for the fire and brought me meat that she helped me cook. I stayed on a pier in a fisher's shack. It was a secret place. Did your friend have a name? She said, Pichuk. It's not. But that didn't make any sense. Anyway, can I see her? She seems sad and lonely. I don't think she has any friends. Nobody should live like that. Did she hurt you or do anything strange? Did she say where she was from? Dude, he just said that she kept him safe and fed him. No, she was really nice and was really good at fishing. I think it was because she can swim really well and she doesn't need a boat. She never said where she was from, so I thought she was from the island. Can I see her? End log. The interview was continued in this vein for some time. Throughout, Quapic insisted that Dashwan did not harm him and was friendly. The story was not released to the public. Local authorities believed that the child had experienced hypothermia-induced hallucination while on the island. Dickheads. In the weeks following the recovery of the missing child, rumors began to spread through the town of a strange marine animal in and around the harbor. Repeating sightings of a strange person on the docks prompted widespread speculation and hearsay. Terrier Q. Le Chatelier site 641's on-site shaman heard the rumors through family contacts and decided to investigate on a hunch. With a small team from MTF 89E, Thomas Toggers, SB 828 eluded capture for several weeks until captured during an attempt to enter the Quapic family residence. SB 828 was then brought back to the site 641 for processing. Interviewed SB 828 Terrier Le Chatelier. This unofficial interview was conducted en route to site 641 on board the recently acquiring fishing vessel Jean. SB 828 was requested in the live catch hold at the time of interview. Le Chatelier insisted on the encounter before processing, saying the sea is already pretty angry about this. I don't know if we'll make it back. Please note that the following interview was translated from Inuktitut. Hello down there. Unkakuk. Shaman. Are you here to consume my flesh and make my power yours? Do you speak for the mother of the sea come to collect her due? I refuse to pay my due. I'm sorry. I warned you. I'm thinking of Nox from Smite with the voodoo skin. Am I here to serve you? To offer my bones as you tubulak? Tell me so that I may know and we may be without pretense. What? No, I just wanted to talk to you in case your mother decided to cut things short. I want to know why you didn't take the child. This is a trick. No, I'm being serious. I work for people who want to meet things like you. So you serve another master then? What do they want with me? Mostly to stare at you and ask you questions. Are you comfortable down there? SB828 stares at the chatting incredulously. I will speak with your masters, Uncle Cook. Just thought I'd ask. And look, finally a dude that's actually nice to SCPs. God damn, that took 828 SCPs to finally find one. Was like, hey man, you good? SB-828 remained unresponsive for the remainder of the voyage. An interview SB-828, Agent Scout, Full Brush, and Terrier Le Chatier. The following interview took place after several weeks of processing. SB-828 had displayed the signs of agitation, and an intervention was undertaken at the request of Le Chatier. Full Brush and Le Chatier, after the interview booth, SB-828 is restrained to the chair on the other side. Good morning. Good afternoon, SB-828. We understand that you've been having trouble. What is SCP-828? That is the designation we assigned you. A name. A designation. You can think of it as... You can think of it as a name if it's easier for you. I see. Regardless, the maintenance and research staff have reported that you have been increasingly agitated and resistant. We are here to find out why. Indicates Full Brush. Is that your master, Uncle Cook? Does this colonel hold your leash? Excuse me? The only leash Full Brush here holds is his. What my associate means to say is that we work for the same organization, but I am not directly responsible for him. Everybody you see here works for the same group of people. We want to learn about you. That's what he said. I wasn't going to lie to you. You know how much those cost anyway. Too steep to lie to you. I don't know what to say. When you caught me, I thought you thought we'd dissect you or kill you or enslave you. Reasonable assumptions, but not what we do. We just want to keep you safe with us and learn from you. SB-828 remains silent, looking thoughtful. Yeah, we'll keep you safe. You'll have a home. I wouldn't have to seek children anymore. No, you're free to keep it to yourself if you like. Probably won't see anybody unless somebody really wants to talk to you or something. Don't ask me why they want to do. That's just their way. What if what? What if I want to talk to people? What if I need to? Well, typically we only keep things like you as restrained as they need to be. There are incentives for good behavior, cooperation. What does it mean for me to cooperate? What do you want? You want to kick this up the chain, Brushy? If you want to cooperate, I will speak with my superiors and we can arrange something. I like this. I like the story behind this. It's basically what I kind of expected the SCP Foundation to be, you know? They find SCPs, and some of them, of course, are like horrible monstrosities, and some of them are like beyond of their control. But I also want to see the SCPs that just get treated like this. They are confused. They want to know what this all is about. They want to cooperate, but they're not sure if they should, because this is a world that they don't know existed to begin with. And then there are people like Le Chatier, who's like, hey, don't worry about it. We're not here to do any harm. We just need to make sure that you don't cause any harm to anything else. And if you don't, then we don't see a problem. Also, what is this considered? Is this considered safe? Why are you considered Euclid? Okay, here we have Dr. Isaac Rosenthal and Derek Le Chatier. He's always there, which I'm glad, because he seems to be like the most calmest out of all of them. The following interview was conducted in full cooperation with SB-828. Following negotiations with site administration, Dr. Isaac Rosenthal has been tasked with establishing biographical and anomalous details regarding SB-828. Alright then, SB-828, why don't we start with some history? Tell me about yourself. Where do you want me to start? The beginning? Whatever part of your life you consider to be a beginning. My memory is more torn than my Amati, Umelik. She ripped holes in it when I was taken. I only remember what she wants me to. Playing the pronoun gamer. Some memories stay. I lived on oh god, Baffin Island, in a village where the water was dark and cold and the bay narrow. We were hidden then. The invaders from the west had not come so far. The invaders from the east were yet to arrive. I had a family then. I was a mother. What do you remember about your family? My husband was gone, I think. He died. A bear broke his neck on the ice. A sudden wave washed him into the sea. His jealous brother killed him. He was lost in a blizzard. Or one of the invaders shot him with their bows. It doesn't matter. My son and I were left behind. I was inherited by my husband's brother. I remember him struggling to catch enough for all of us. He was not a strong man. He would skulk to the sweat hut to commune with the shaman. We were, as a family, a burden to our people. Burdens do not last long on the ice. How does this fit into your current state? She's setting the scene. Just let her keep going. Yeah. Thank you. Fucking hell. Whoever written this one, I hope you contact me and I want to tell you right now. Thank you so much for writing a character that's actually nice to SCPs and understands how they behave, and also just in general nice to people. Thank you so much. It's been I needed that, and I just needed one person that's not a dick. My son was old enough to watch the men, but not old enough to know better. He'd seen them hunting, learned how, watched them hide downwind of the Polynia, learned to sneak up. The boy was clever, you see, always carving the smallest figures into the ivory and stone. He killed a seal, came back home with the dog smiling, waving his slate knife in the wind. He's better than the brother, the brother of her husband. I smiled then. He went out again and again until one day the dogs came back without him. I went out looking, found the hole in the ice. I knelt down and looked. I saw green eyes, heard a voice. Did it say anything? The voice? This I remember because it wanted me to remember. The voice. It said that my son had disrespected her children, that he had neglected the customary offerings. Respect. The kid probably forgot to offer the seals a drink before they died. I offered myself. If my son was payment, then it could accept a larger price, yes? I watched the Polynia. There was no sea, just green ice. It coughed him up like a sick dog next to me. I held him until his eyes opened, said goodbye, and stood on the green ice in the hole. I remember going deep. I remember unearthly singing in a boiling hot presence, like I was inside a room of flame. There's not much left after that. What else do you remember? Children. I remember children looking down at me through a hole in the sky. I take them into my arms when they fall. I bring a place where the fire burns on the water, where they do not fall, where they cannot fall. I thought you said you couldn't remember. I'm giving you the stories I do remember. They were always children. They didn't always look the same. Many looked much like you, indicates at Le Chatelier. As you people grew, you people were the only ones I saw for a time. The only ones I saw. I think that's enough for today. We'll resume our next scheduled appointment. Or you know what? You can just leave her alone. I mean, she's been cooperative, and you've been so far. You haven't done anything rude to her, but clearly, she doesn't seem to have a lot of memories of what happened as she became this. This was really interesting, and I wonder if those symbols mean something, because right now I'm looking at that, and I wonder. I don't know. Like, part of me thinks it looks like a sled with mountains and like ice mountains or like just stuff like that, but I might be fully wrong. I hope the next one is short. It is. Good. Bloodthirsty nail polish. Ooh. Ooh, safe. SB829 is to be stored in a secured room at Sector 19 in a standard nail polish bottle that is kept locked in a transparent level 2 security container. This room must be guarded by at least 2 level 2 security personnel at all times. Security personnel and a spare bottle will accompany SB829 whenever it is removed from its containment room. All personnel must undergo psychological examination before they are allowed to interact with subjects of SB829. Any persons who show signs of excessive compliant behavior must immediately be removed from the presence of subjects of SB829. SB829 appears to be equally effective on both males and females. For clarity, this document will assume that the subject of SB829 is female. Description. SB829 is a volume of nail polish, typically 3 to 10 cc in size, composed primarily of blank brand nail polish, but also variable amounts of water, human blood from multiple individuals, and small amounts of a large number of organic components. For a complete list of compounds. For a complete list of compounds detected in SB829, see document 829CM. SB829 is able to generate more of itself by absorbing water vapor from surrounding air and by drinking human blood dripped in its bottle. Lovely. If neither water vapor nor blood is available, SB829 becomes dormant and does not appear to exhibit negative effects from extended dormancy. To date, researchers do not know how SB829 can utilize so much water and still maintain its properties as a nail polish. When applied to a human subject's fingernail, SB829 affects the subject in several different ways, depending on how much blood SB829 has received recently. If SB829 has received no blood recently, the subject feels more seductive and acts more flirtatiously, and develops a compulsion to prick itself and add her blood to SB829's bottle. If SB829 has received at least a drop of blood recently, the above effects are amplified, and the subject's fingernail evoke a pleasurable sensation in others when touched in the skin. All of these effects get stronger as more blood is given to SB829, though a certain percentage of people, at least 15%, are especially persuadable by fingernail contact no matter how much blood has been given. When SB829 has received enough blood, the subject can make her fingernails sharp enough to shred standard fabrics, gouge wood, and easily slash through flesh, although they have little effects on materials of viscous hardness greater than 120. Subject affected by SB829 follow the same general pattern of behavior. On initial application, the subject will invariably prick herself and feed a bit of her blood to SB829. Once SB829 has been reapplied, the subject will initiate a sexual relationship with another person, the target. As the relationship develops, the subject will introduce a bondage and domination into the relationship, of course it does, with herself in a dominant role. The subject will also start to scratch the target with her fingernails and draw blood, of some of which the subject feeds to SB829. The target generally derives pleasure from the scratches. After variable length of time, so this is basically BDSM and blood play. After several of the variable length of time, most often 6 to 12 weeks, the subject will restrain the target to a wall or table. The encounter will begin as usual, but the subject will use her fingernails to slowly and systematically eviscerate the target, while trying to keep the target alive as long as possible. The target will initially continue to derive pleasure from the touch of the subject's fingernail until the pain and trauma inflicted by the subject on the target overwhelms the pleasure the target has derived from the encounter. The subject will collect a large amount of target blood in SB829's bottle, often more than it should fit. Shortly after the target expires, the subject will start the cycle anew, although the effects of SB829 will already be quite strong, making the next relationship much easier to initiate. Once SB829 has received sufficient blood from enough different targets, the subject will introduce SB829 to her current sexual partner and attempt to apply SB829 to her target's fingernails. Willing targets become affected by SB829 just as the original subject. Unwilling targets, they are expunged. Both subjects will together continue the flotation to evisceration cycle, reducing some targets individually and others together. As progressively more blood is given to SB829, the subject will periodically recruit more targets as new subjects for SB829. However, if SB829 is not fed enough blood, then one subject, usually the newest recruit, will become a standard target of whom the remaining subjects will then restrain and disembowel. For more information, see case study 829-CS01. And addendum 1, blank blank 19 blank, Dr. Blank was brought in to assist researching subject 829-14, a 28-year-old Asian American female. During the initial interview, the subject brushed her fingernail across Dr. Blank's skin. eliciting an expected response. Approximately 3 hours later, both were apprehended when Dr. Blank was helping the subject escape Sector 19. Dr. Blank was described as strong compulsion to do what the subject asked him to do when he touched her by her fingernail. This compulsion faded after around 48 hours. The subject was terminated as normal. An addendum to blank blank 19 blank. Due to the recent experimentation of SB 829 on animals requires level 4 authorization. Experimentation on any member of the following taxonomic orders requires O5 authorization. Why is this red? Oh yeah, here gotcha. Carnivora, Chiroptera, Crocodilia, Falconiformis, Pisiformis, primates excepting humans, Proboscidea, Stygiforms, and Struthioforms. And that was the last one. Okay. And here is the list. Yeah, so draws you in the book. That one has so much potential, and I just love the story. It was definitely the longest read, and just because it was the longest read doesn't mean it's the best one. It's just the idea is a lot of fun. You can literally visit part of a book that you read or a film that you've watched, but of course, you need to be careful. You can't just stay in there for pleasure. You have to actually find a book and get out. And yeah, you can either just live it for a small period of time, or become part of the whole story altogether. And then that symbol, I don't know how to say that. I mean, I just think the -1, which is the water creature, female water creature, is just so fascinating. Also, I just think Les Chatelier deserves to be high up in the list because of how of a good person he is to the SCP and to the Foundation. And like, he's not a dick, dude. Like, it's finally a person that's just friendly and nice, which is something that not a lot of Foundation members are. Carnival of Horrors, I really wish that somebody will make a movie out of this one. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think it would be great to watch. Would be insane. Helmet of Disturbing Visions, that one definitely is another one. Like, it's in the same concept as like Carnival of Horrors. I hope that like somebody makes a movie out of this one, because like it's just like such an interesting one, because not only does it, if you have a phobia that you're aware of, does it show that, but if there's something that you are scared of that you're not aware of, it shows that instead. So it's such a interesting dive into somebody's psyche. Landmine cacti, that's just funny. Cactus are just like you know, whenever the idea is just hilarious. It's almost like a fantasy video game flora, you know. You just walk along, you see this cactus, and you see this sack next to it, and you're like, what the hell is that? And you step close, and suddenly, as you step close, it just explodes. The soup. Yeah. That is definitely a biological terrifying image. You can fix a lot of things, but they just don't work the same way. They just don't work or are built the same way as you hope it should be, or as the original thing as they put it in. Active weed control, idea of trees just pulling out weeds is just hilarious. So it's just like bash. So I think that's just funny. Dixie Funland, that one is definitely a bit of a sad one, isn't it? Like, it's like one of those SCPs that like didn't do any harm. It was just a bunch of animatronics that could think, that were a circus, and then people decided not to come anymore, and they shut down. Bloodthirsty nail polish, very kinky, very kinky. BDSM and blood play gone horribly wrong. Las Angostas Pintadas. I mean, as I was saying, it sounds very much like a drug. Just like pure like locusts are around you and suddenly you feel like you're the strongest being in the universe. Until a truck hits you, and then you're dead. But yeah, that's that. I will end it right here. I think I'm gonna host one of these lovely ladies I see that just came online, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. I hope everybody who watched today's stream had a lot of fun. And next week we'll continue with Dying Light on Wednesday, and then it will be Brian's turn in Dream Daddy. So that's going to be happening next week, and of course SCP 830s and 40s on the next weekend. Well, I have to see. I have a date on the next weekend, so maybe only the 830s will happen. If it's happening on Saturday or Sunday, I will say to you guys on the Wednesday stream. Or I will say it to you guys in Discord or wherever. Yeah. So, I hope you all enjoyed this stream today. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening. And y'all remember now that the Afro is with you.